Hello, I'm Jody Wolf, and you're watching Expoz. I'm going to try to go slower. I know I go way too slow as it is, but I get ahead of myself. I'm such a great, fast talker, you know that. So, end up repeating myself. I want to slow down. By the way, my shirt, I bought it several years ago. See if you can read this. If you can read it, it says, I hunt the evil that you pretend doesn't exist. And it's by Sheepdog Incorporated. I believe they're in Ireland. My mother is Irish. She's a Duke. That's her maiden name. And actually, she remarried the first husband, and his name was Reynolds. So she's a double Irish. And but anyway, hunt the evil that you pretend doesn't exist. I like this. I've had this little thing many years, probably about 10, and I picked it up in Bike Week one year. Well, 2010, so it's 8 years old. I spent enough time talking about this shirt, huh? What I'm going to talk about is the evil that does exist. It's a lot more horrible than you think it is. And it's in a lot more places than you think it is in your town right now. Guys, I know you've been hearing this for a long time. I certainly have. And up until 2000 and maybe 6 or 2008, I did not know what I'm about to tell you. But I have learned a lot since 2008. For 10 years, I have studied this. I have followed every article I could read from every person I could find it on. This specific one that got me stirred was about 7 or 8 years ago, actually. When I started, Russ Dizdar, you've heard of him, Russ Dizdar, when he's talking about, well, I guess you'd convert it over to Pizzagate today, but taking children and offering them, well, on a bale or 2 bale, altar a bale, that they still do today. And but what we're talking about today is not all about Russ Dizdar. He talks more about the supernatural because it's on the increase. And since he is working for several police departments and trying to solve these mysteries that they won't tell you about because they don't know enough about it to tell you. But if you find Russ Dizdar, you can find out a lot. And but I got one very specific story I want to tell you that's horrible, and in several small ones, but one main one. Start with, you know about the Ouija board. Of course we do. It's a window into the spirit world. And if you think I'm kidding, then look it up and think again, because it's true. The only problem is you cannot see into their side, but they can see into your side. And another, they know who your protection is. Some of you that aren't protected, you're going to be in trouble. Some of you have gotten in trouble many times. Some of you had to have an evil spirit expelled, and some of you have died because of it. I'm talking about a simple Ouija board, nothing more. But it gets much worse than that. This one, wow, this one, of all the stories, this one got me the most. Recall, I'm ex-former law enforcement. And a job I never worked a day in my life. That's how much I love my job. But this one hit really close to home, and this is why I'm giving this particular story. And it's going to take two parts. Bear with me, because there's a lot more to it than just this one. But this one I want you to know about. So, why they aren't saved and they aren't yet bound. And I'm talking about those who aren't saved playing with the Ouija board. They're lucky to have escaped not getting into trouble. And so many people on lesser things in a Ouija board end up with an evil spirit in them and demonic spirit. And here's my story. Here's one of the stories. This police chief, guys, and this wasn't too long ago. You can look it up. This police chief from New Jersey, 18-year veteran with a force, and no one ever saw anything out of the ordinary with their boss, the chief. One day, he gets up. He gets in the police car. He's nude. He has in his car 3 Bibles, 2 on the dash, 1 in the seat by him. He drives his police car to an apartment complex where he goes inside and starts beating up people. And keep in mind, at this apartment complex, it is for the disabled. So people can't run from him. He goes inside and he's kicking over wheelchairs and kicking over different things, kicking people out of beds. They can't fight back. So someone calls 911 on him. 5 policemen arrive while he's laying in the floor eating the face off of a person. They try to stop him. He fights them. And he just keeps going right back to doing what he's doing. They tase him over and over and over. 5 tasers finally subdued the police chief. They fought him. They piled on him, and they handcuffed him and restrained him. They threw him in the back of the police car. And as they were headed down to the police department, he kicked out the back windshield, dove on the trunk of the car, landed in the street, jumped up, and ran away, still bound with the handcuffs. I'm going to let that story end right there. You can find that one. Dig it up. You can find it. Paul Begley. Go to Paul Begley and look it up. Guys, that's just part of it. And this man was inhabited by a demonic spirit. That's why I quit calling him a cop, because he's demonic. With being inhabited by a demonic spirit, you have powers. Some people are very strong. They can break handcuffs, no problem. They can break their bindings or what they're bound with. And you don't hear police departments talk about these things because they don't know what to say. Go back to one of the first ones that we heard about in this manner, Miami, Florida. Remember that? Where a nude man was laying up under an overpass, eating the face off of a homeless person. The nude man was shot twice after multiple call-outs for him to stop, for him to freeze, for him to respond to the police. He only turned and growled at them. They shot him. He turned and growled again, and they shot him again. He kept eating this man. It took 5 more bullets to stop him. This man was inhabited by a demonic spirit. A lot of you may put it in this way: the supernatural. Supernatural is demonic. I don't care how you word it, look at it, see it, what the movies are, how the heroes come out to be. The supernatural is demonic. Remember that. Keep that in mind. Now, let me tell you by the name. By the way, the name of the guy on the sidewalk in Miami was Rudy Eugene. R-U-D-Y, Rudy Eugene. He was possessed. He was not on bath salts that everyone thought he was on. I thought he was on bath salts. I thought bath salts had just shorted out his brain. But he was not on bath salts. In fact, he wasn't on any drugs. A lot of our shootings are triggered by demonic spirits, not by people with guns. It didn't matter if these people had knives when they're triggered to use a. Well, I'll get to all that on my next blog about the gun part of it, and because it's part of it. So are knives. More people are killed in this country with knives than there are with guns. More people are killed with baseball bats than they are guns, but yet the gun gets the bad rap. So I'm going to tell you who else was possessed just exactly like this man was, the police chief, in the next blog. And then you will understand where I'm going with this. Jody Wolf, Expoz.